There have been hundreds of comic book characters fans have enjoyed reading, but of course, not every comic book character has the longevity of someone like Spider-Man or Batman. Actually, few do. As a result, there have been characters who have shown up in a popular comic book only to disappear several issues later without any kind of explanation. Even some of the most popular characters have been withdrawn without so much as a toot of Namor's horn. So I'm Ewan, this is What Culture Comics, and here are 8 comics characters who randomly disappeared with no explanation. Number 8. Static Shock. Given just how positively the TV show was received, it's kind of wild to think about just how much DC has neglected Static as a character in the years before and since it aired. Virgil Hawkins has barely managed to keep a hold of a single series in the comics over the last 2 decades, and that is frankly ridiculous, especially when the material he starred in both during and after the milestone years was so compelling. Static's original series ran for only 45 issues, and in the years since Static went out of print, he's appeared a little more than 100 times in other books. He had a short revival when the New 52 launched, but like many of the books in that relaunch series, it was cancelled before it had a chance to get off the ground. The mad thing is, Static hasn't made an appearance in the comics since the end of his last series. For such a beloved character, that simply isn't good enough. Number 7. ULTRAGIRL. ULTRAGIRL began life as Susie Sherman, and as she was growing up, all she wanted to do was become a model. Unfortunately for her, she was half Cree, and when that side of her DNA fired up, her body changed into more of a bodybuilder physique, dashing her hopes of walking down a runway, which is really stupid. Fortunately, the Cree part of her also gave her superpowers similar to those of Captain Marvel, so she managed to make do with what she had and became a superhero. When that pesky Mark Miller struck with Civil War though, she was sidelined due to her association with the New Warriors, who were responsible for the Stanford incident that set the event off in the first place. Despite not being directly involved, she was nevertheless treated badly. She registered immediately and began to blend into the background. The last time she appeared in a comic, it was when she was interviewed for the nanny position offered by Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. She ended up losing the job to Squirrel Girl, and she hasn't been seen in a comic book since. Number 6. Big Hero 6. For the vast majority of people living on planet Earth, Big Hero 6 is the team from the animated Disney film of the same name. The characters and events depicted in the movie are all they know of the team and its members, but Big Hero 6 began as a comic, and it's vastly different from the film. The team first appeared in Sunfire and Big Hero 6 #1 back in 1998 with a different origin and roster. Big Hero 6 was established as a state-sanctioned team of the Japanese government, but they, in almost no way, resemble their Disney movie counterparts. In terms of comics, Big Hero 6 only appeared in 38 issues. The book's concepts clearly inspired the film's development, but once the movie came out in 2014, the comic book characters were weirdly all but forgotten, and they no longer appear in their own title, unless you count the IDW movie sequel that released in 2019. Number 5. ROM Space Knight. Marvel has a long history of creating characters and events in comics that correlate to toys. The company's most famous and successful venture in this regard was the Transformers series, which gave the characters names and backstories. ROM Space Knight was an earlier attempt at printing money via a partnership with Hasbro, but the toys failed to sell, leaving Marvel with a property they continued to print throughout the late 70s and 1980s. ROM ran for a total of 75 issues, and while it was conclusive, ROM continued to appear elsewhere in Marvel Comics. He popped up in a number of issues of various series over the years, but his last appearance in Marvel Comics came in Incredible Hulk number 418 in 1994. An alternate version of ROM popped up in 2000, but it wasn't the same character. While it's unclear what ROM has been up to for the past few decades in the Marvel Universe, it is known why he no longer appears. Marvel lost the rights, with the character now making a splash in the Hasbro Universe with IDW. Number 4. Tarantula. Tarantula first appeared way back in Star Spangled Comics #1, which was published in 1941, so the character has been around for a while. Initially, Tarantula was the identity of John Law, a man with no superpowers who was much like Batman in that he used gadgets, his wits, and fighting abilities to fight crime. Eventually, Law retired from crime fighting to become a writer, so there's no confusion as to what actually happened to him. But his successor, Catalina Flores, is another story. She's relatively recent to the DC universe, having first appeared in Nightwing number 71 in 2002. Flores took up the Tarantula mantle in Bloodhaven, but ran afoul of Nightwing after he saw how far she was willing to go. She eventually became something of a villain slash anti-hero slash vigilante, depending on what was happening at the time. In the years since she became Tarantula, her appearances started to wane, and it most likely has something to do with the controversy that came from that scene on the rooftop. You know the one. She last appeared in Justice Society of America, where she was a part of the resistance in an alternate timeline's future, where the world was dominated by Nazis. Since then, her whereabouts remain a mystery, as she never made an appearance in either the New 52 or Rebirth. Number 3. Despero. Despero was first introduced to the DC Universe in 1960's Justice League of America numero uno. He spent a lot of time causing trouble for the various Justice League teams over the years, but he's primarily an antagonist of Booster Gold and the Martian Manhunter, which is an odd pairing if I do say so myself. For the best part of 4 decades, Despero would make appearances, and he would cause a lot of trouble when he did. At one point, he destroyed the Justice League satellite headquarters, he's had his powers magnified to the point of being able to reshape reality, and he's killed a superhero or two during his time. When the 2000s hit, Despero began dropping off the radar of most DC comics, but he did make appearances every so often. In the 2016-2017 6-issue miniseries Death of Hawkman, he played a large role in bringing down the superhero from Thanagar. The series saw both Despero and Hawkman killed, while Adam Strange became lost in time and space. Of course, death in the DC universe is little more than an inconvenience, and it's no excuse for a character like Despero to go missing. Number 2. Adam X the Extreme. Oh boy. While Forearm, yes, that's a real character, may be a product of the 1990s, Adam X the Extreme is the decade reimagined as a character. Everything about him is meant to be extreme with a capital X, from his hair to his muscles and the amount of blades he has on his body. He was created by Fabian Nicieza for the express purpose of throwing another Summers brother into the mix. Everything about Adam X the Extreme, yes, I'm going to say the full title each time, and what, was done in the extreme, and the fans didn't take to him in the way Marvel was hoping. He was meant to be the son of Catherine Summers and Deken, the Emperor of the Shi'ar Empire, but his story never got to play out fully before he faded into obscurity. The character never came to popularity as his creator hoped, and as a result, he fizzled out after appearing in less than 150 issues of Marvel's Mutant Comics. The last time he was seen, he was participating in a riot and was arrested by Emma Frost and her Dark X-Men, but that was like 2011? Come on, bring back Adam X the Extreme, you know you want to. And number 1, Godzilla. Godzilla may not be a name closely associated with comics, and that's fair, seeing as he has long been the subject of film. Like many movie monsters though, he did eventually make his way to the world of comic books, and the publisher that got a hand in creating his comic identity was Marvel. Marvel published Godzilla as a king of the monsters, and while it would seem logical to assume he wasn't a part of the main Marvel universe of Earth 616, he most certainly was. In the comics, Godzilla burst from an iceberg in Alaska, weird, and made his way towards New York City. His principal antagonist was none other than S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Dum Dum Dugan. Just 1 second, I love that name. And the hat, and the mustache. What a lad. Godzilla fought against the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, and the Avengers, all of whom pale in comparison to Marvel's greatest hero, Dum Dum Dugan, obviously, but they all attempted to stop the giant monster from outright destroying the city. Godzilla remained in print for 24 years, but after his time was up, he was gone. Nobody mentioned the giant monster after that, and these days, he's chilling with IDW. And that was our list on 8 comic book characters who just straight up disappeared. Let me know down in the comments below if there are any other characters you missed appearing in either the Marvel or DC universes, and maybe even drop us a like and a subscribe while you're at it. That's all for now though, have a great day, and remember, keep reading Dum Dum Dugan.